Don't be a loser. Keep gambling. I have a warning here for you, baby dolls. Extremely high value content for you is coming your way. I'm going to teach you how to really understand the crypto industry that we have right now. But firstly, before we even dive in, these are all frameworks. I made it. I created it. Where did it come from? I don't know. The cosmos, the universe, some sort of satellite, peg nipples. I got no idea. I'm here 18 hours a day. This is what I do. I don't spend all my time day trading. I'm here looking for elephants. Got an elephant gun, just like Warren Buffett. Trying to look for the 50Xs, 100Xs, but you don't know if you're going to get them. You just have to understand crypto deeply. To understand crypto deeply, you really got to go sniffing in a lot of chairs because there's no answers out here. It's all random. A lot of it is like a slot machine, and it can get very slobbery, mind you. So we're all navigating this forest, and it's dark. There's trolls, there's gremlins, there's bears. But if you dig far enough, what do you find, friends? Gold, treasure, your 50Xs, your 100Xs, deep value contrarian stuff. To understand crypto, there are two macro cyclical forces that are always affecting crypto. Your altcoin, my altcoin, nothing special. Even Bitcoin's not really special per se in terms of it can't exist in a world where everything is just up only. Okay? There are different cyclical forces that you have to understand. There's two big ones. These are everything you need to understand. The first one, now I made this picture here for you, friends. This is global liquidity. You see that? Global liquidity. It's a money printer. They're always printing money, always. But during 2022, you saw they printed too much money just the year before from the zombie virus. Remember they told you, remember they came on TV, friends. They said, hey, a bat had sex with a Pokeball and now we have a world virus. You're not allowed to say that it came from China. No. It came from the ocean or something. You see what I mean, friends? But all that money printing, all that bonanza, they've got to pull it back. And they did. So global liquidity went down in 2022. All right. So it gone up, it goes down. Now, I have drawn this picture here to show you global liquidity. When it goes up, Bitcoin goes up. All right. When it goes down, US dollars become more scarce or rare, which means their dominance goes up. Tether, which is a cuck piece of trash currency, its dominance went from 2.5% up to 9% in the bear market 2022 because all the altcoins, everything goes down. Bitcoin goes down as well. People flock to the stable coins. So you see that the global liquidity, all right, it's always going up over time, over the long term, but there are these periods where it goes down. Okay. So these, you can think of these as like two currencies, by the way. You got Bitcoin, the people's currency, digital currency as one, and then we have the US dollar, US currency. It's the world reserve currency, okay? US dollar is 85% of world volume trading, okay? And Bitcoin hopefully gets to that one day. If it does, we have $100 trillion Bitcoin. So that's the first big macro cyclical force. It goes up and it goes down, all right? So if it goes up, you already see, you want to own Bitcoin. If it goes down, luckily you have stable coins. You actually want to buy Bitcoin using them, you see? So remember, global M2 liquidity can rise or it can fall. We can actually show you charts where there's global M2 liquidity. You've all seen this chart, right? Global M2 liquidity here, M2, global M2 liquidity. You've seen it, friends? Global M2 liquidity. It right now, all right? Over time, it's going up and up and up and up. What are they doing? They're constantly expanding the money supply. Why? Big macro ideas. Population levels are going down. We're having less kids. There's too much debt. They have to debase the currency. That's why they keep global M2 liquidity. It has to keep going up. If they keep pulling back the liquidity, we have a debt spiral. Nobody can afford to pay their debts. Everything explodes. So the system pretty much requires them to keep kicking the can down the road. And by them, the governments. So the global liquidity, right, can go up or can go down. Now, that's one big cyclical force, all right? What about the next one? The business cycle. Okay, the business cycle goes up and it goes down. This is my chart from a while ago. This is the business cycle. Remember the PMI? There's different ways to measure the business cycle. One of the best, most like nice sine wave measurements is the manufacturing PMI. So what they do is they go to 400 of the biggest manufacturers in America, and they just go to the purchasing manager. Go, hey, if you purchase employees, like you hire employees, if you purchase boxes, you purchase orange juice, hair shampoo, squeaky chairs, whatever it is, Write them all down, okay? And every month we will ask you a survey. Did you purchase more or purchase less? And what they do is they go to every single big manufacturer around the Metagana and they check if they're purchasing more, purchasing less. Because if you're optimistic and things are going good, you're purchasing more stuff. You're hiring more workers. You're buying more things. If things are poop, you're not buying as much, right? So they're all baselined to number 50. And if it goes down below 50, you're in a contraction area. If it goes up above 50, you're like what we call expanding. So in the business cycle, it goes up or down. If it goes up, we have what we call alt seasons. Okay. Now, traditionally in the past, PMI has to get above 52. All right. So why that number 52? I don't know. I just checked the chart. When I checked back in the chart, above 50 wasn't enough. It needs to like crank up above 52. Once you get above 52, it's actually go time. Even in DeFi season 2020, it only happened because business PMI finally hit 52 and then had the final 3 months of DeFi season back there in 2020. So remember, business cycle can go up and it can go down. If it goes up, sweet, all the altcoins go up. It means you are in an environment where everybody has more confidence in the risk curve that they're part of, okay? They have more confidence that they can look further into the future, that everything's okay economic-wise, and they're happy to take on more risk. They're happy to put money away into like more ICOs, more altcoins, more different types of coins. They're just happy to just literally think about the future more. Because the average time frame people invest for, it's about 6 months. That's the average. And you got to think that's the average, which means most people in crypto, not just crypto, in stocks, most people, the average for retailers, it's about 3 months. Yeah. They get in, it takes about, this is what happens, right? They get in for first month, it's usually good. It starts going bad in the second month and then they don't take their loss. And then in the third month, finally bad news comes out, but it's already priced in, but then they all start selling and they start acting. So in the first month, they're all buying tops. In the second month, it goes down. And the third month, bad news happens, but it's like already accelerating down. And they're like, oh crap, like, oh, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't know that the CEO drinks room temperature water. Or they go, oh, I didn't know Amazon was going to take on the market share of this company. Or they say, oh, Bitcoin, I didn't know like India was going to ban you again, even though no one cares if the government bans it. You know what I mean? Like, just people are feeling bad. So they see a reason and then just get out. Okay. The average time is about 3 months. Yeah. For the retailers, yeah. But remember, the total average is 6 months. So there are people who are in the 5 to 10 year zone, which like drag up that average. So that's how it works, right? And you feel more confident to move into the higher time frame holding as the business cycle, basically the PMI goes up, as we're more confident. What happens when the PMI goes down? Well, you know what happens. We have multi-year bear markets in altcoins. Everything gets wrecked, okay? And that's when Bitcoin dominance goes up. Right? Why does Bitcoin dominance go up when that happens? It's because they're always printing money over time. They're debasing at 8% per year. So Bitcoin's always going up statistically from that. But the business cycle goes up and down. So they're printing money, but like how we respond to the money printing, it depends on where we are in the cycle. They can't force us to be euphoric all the time. And they've tried, it doesn't work, okay? It's very interesting. They can keep printing money, but if you're just not ready to spend, people hoard the money if they hand it out. They don't actually spend. There are times where you feel like you want to spend and times where you feel like you want to save. And that's actually what happens. That's why they don't do all these handouts, even when the business cycle is too low, like it has been the past few years, right? There's not all these handouts. It's just people are kind of like, basically trottling along. So that was the second macro cycle force. Remember, the first one, global liquidity. The second one, the business cycle. Remember, they can both go up or down. All right? So remember, I've even shown you here on the business cycle, when they go up, you want to own altcoins. Okay. Now, you don't know, like, you can't just wait for it to go up because if you want to get things cheap, right? But altcoins, here I have PulseChain, PulseX, Hex, Inc. And on the right-hand side, when the business cycle goes down, we have stable coins that have power, but also people seek Bitcoin. Bitcoin holds up strength, okay? Because it's got the biggest liquidity and size and stuff out here. Now, maybe one day this changes in the future. It hasn't changed so far, 4 cycles so far. So where are we going now? This is Richard Hart on top, and this is me, your friend Sommi, delivering a good message. So I believe, and remember, I'm wearing a hat that says, don't be a loser, keep gambling, okay? So I believe Richard Hart is building a solution for every scenario I just outlined, okay? Where global liquidity cycle goes up or down, and the altcoin cycle goes up or down. If you are in altcoin, you only participate in one of those scenarios. Business cycle has to go up. All right. Now, you need all the traffic lights to turn green, and then it does go up. Now, why does everybody sit for years in them? Because the upside is so big, it's worth it. That's why. Now, no one knew this until I started putting this together, by the way. You have not seen this anywhere. I put all this together. I grab best source of information. I put all of it together, and I show you, okay, well, now what makes this thing even more special is we have a founder of a chain, Richard Hart, who likes to work alone, okay? Usually when you have a chain or an app, there are a lot of insiders and dev teams, and they pay themselves, they give themselves tokens, they give influencers tokens, and the tokens, they're dumping on us. Okay? They're just basically just dumping on us, and they're out in the next cycle. And, you know, it's just financial incentives, friends. There's a lot of people, for example, there's some coins on layer 2 chains. I heard some of the developers and stuff out here, like, they've been working for like multiple years, and they were able to cash out like 10 million. Which is big. You know, they were working like a networking job. They got involved in a chain, and they were able to cash out, well, maybe not all of them 10 million, maybe a couple of them like 4 to 5 mil. And they do. They just sell OTC. Because obviously they're probably with their wives or something. Maybe they've got 1 or 2 kids, and their wife's like, oh, so you can literally just sell this and you can be in crypto forever. Do it. And the guy's like, yeah, I'll do it. But then they all do that. And then guess what? The project's dog shit now. Because you're not long anymore. And then people just go move on to something else, not knowing that you've already sold. This is what happened in 2024. A lot of people doing OTC deals way below market price. You see? So why is PulseChain potentially different? Well, Richard Hart, friends, he's a billionaire. Okay, so in another way to say that, he doesn't give a shit about $10 million. Okay, he literally does not care. It's literally a fart in the wind. You can't dangle $10 million in front of him and make him basically give up on his dream. His dream could be to become a trillionaire. All right. Now, I have to just guess all this stuff, and I don't 100% knowledge, okay? It's not like I have the guy on my phone and he's telling me, yes, I'm doing all this. I'm trying to like navigate this as best as I can. So what's his plan? Well, remember, we all follow the meme cult religion archetype in crypto. That's what makes the most successful crypto, the ones that are still around. The highest market cap tech, you know, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and even XRP, Cardano, they don't have the best tech, but they have the highest market caps. Why? They are either a cult or religion. XRP, 4 million people in it, dude. Pretty much a world religion at this point. What is their world religion? What's the XRP cult religion? Well, they believe they like crypto, but they like that XRP is trying to be a government CBDC. They don't see anything wrong with a CBDC. They like it. They're more pragmatists. They're like, oh, the government's eventually going to release a CBDC in the future. We may as well help them, you know? Bitcoin maxis, totally different. Bitcoin lovers, not just Bitcoin maxis, all of us, we think CBDCs are evil. We're like, hey, let's take away the ability for government to just control us and let's live free. That's Bitcoin, the world religion like that, right? Then you have Ethereum, then you have Cardano. You see the point? It's not the best tech. It's just people who believe in it the most. So what's Richard Hart doing? Well, here's the thing. Remember, there are these two cyclical forces. They can both go up or down. Well, right now, the original intention was that Hex was meant to be a bear market hedge. Unfortunately, we got crushed by the business cycle. So I think Richard's forward-thinking visionary. I think he's got a plan. So he thought, okay, if people buy Bitcoin, BlackRock BTC, what if I had my stable BTC? And what I mean by stable is pegged to the BlackRock BTC with the purple Bitcoin logo. What if I had that? So you might think, okay, but yeah, what if that? What if they are pegged? Like, let's say there is a scenario, somehow magically, pray to God, that the people's Bitcoin does a 200x rally, actually goes and pegs to the BlackRock BTC. What then? Well, now, remember I told you, when global liquidity is going up, BlackRock BTC goes up. Okay, if your purple BTC is pegged to the BlackRock BTC, and remember the purple BTC, the PulseChain one, it's more scarce. There's only 150,000 of them, okay? And Richard owns at least 30% of that. We know that from on-chain, at least, okay? So if they are pegged, okay, that means whenever they print money, this purple's BTC, it is going up with the BlackRock BTC. Oh my gosh. Which means if you hold the Bitcoin on Ethereum network, on Tron, on Solana, there's nowhere for you to earn yield on it. You just hold it. Well, what if he had a PulseX yield farm that was handing out ink if you provided liquidity for the pWBTC and the wrapped Bitcoin. Now he's given a use case by giving you yield to your Bitcoin. If you have Bitcoin, there's no way for you to farm. You can't do anything with it. You just hold. So think about it. What are you going to do in a bear market, okay? You can go and earn precious yield, or you can just do nothing with it. That's one plan, right? Now, you might say, okay, Sommi, that's if global M2 is rising and in the recovery of crypto. You know, we have 4-year cycles. Yeah, Bitcoin rallies off a bear market, yeah, because they keep printing money. But they print money first. The business cycle goes up later. But first, they have to recover with the money printing. Okay, what if global liquidity is falling? What do we do then? Because Bitcoin crashes in a bear market, right? You saw in 2022. You saw it right here. When we had 2022, we went down, and then Bitcoin went down. The whole industry went down. USD's dominance, US dollar, was like the most sought after thing. The Dixie went up huge, didn't it? And I actually show it to you right now. Look what happened in 2022. The US dollar literally went on the most intergalactic moonshot run. Huge, just squeezed the hell out of everything, right? So everybody wanted US dollar for precious stable coins and yield. Okay, that's why I kept thinking, man, what if Richard's plan to capture that product market fit in our bear market involves pDAI? If this could get to $1 and peg to $1, why would you ever leave PulseChain? You have your stable coin. You know, Tether, friends, earns you no yield. No yield. Zero. Nothing. So what if pDAI just gave you like 2% yield? 3%? You would have people who are still left here in the bear market. What if they could earn yield on their stablecoin? And you're surviving and thriving. Very interesting to think about, all right? That's global M2 going up or down, looked after. So then you say, okay, but my friend, tell me, what about the scenario where, say, the business cycle goes up? Well, like I said, friends, you don't need to worry about that part, okay? That's alt season. He already has a solution for all of these, okay? So if the business cycle goes up, remember, we have PulseChain, yeah? Slingshot leverage on Ethereum. We have PulseX, better than Uniswap. Remember, it's a DEX, owning the casino. People trade and speculate more when there's a business cycle goes up, because they're more confident to swap and do things around. There's a buy and burn on it as well. The activity ratchets it up as the business cycle goes up. So you have incentive token, more speculation. You have Hex, the better Bitcoin. You can stake it, earn yield. You know what I mean? So all these things are covered already. You get it? And like, it's better Bitcoin, right? So you want to store a value? Well, here's one with thin liquidity that can pump in a bull market. Right? So it's pretty much got every angle covered. We've already got our altcoin, alt season cycle covered, right? But Richard's a visionary. He's thinking about the bear market, you know? How can I keep people in the bear market? Because my friends, it's crypto's $1 trillion problem. People sell in the bull and they sell in the bear and they leave. How do you keep them in the community? Well, think about the product market fit. They want Bitcoin and they want stable coins. Does your chain have Bitcoin? Does it have stable coins? No, it doesn't. Like right now, okay, most chains, they don't have Bitcoin. They don't have stable coins. Okay, what if you gave them the best version of Bitcoin and the best stable coin? What if you gave them that? A cult within a cult. Right? How do you keep them in there, by the way? That's why pDAI could pump pretty hard. Maybe it does do that. That's why I like it. Could go to zero for the third time, by the way, and stay down. All right? So if you have a cult within a cult that's held this the whole way and it's gone on through this journey, these people don't want to leave. They stay in the bear market. You literally stay. Like, why would you sell this? Okay? But it's not complete yet. That's why there might be even more bonuses coming on. So friends, even on top of that, what about meme coins? Well, Richard already demonstrated. Yeah, we put a pump tires on, which is a pump fund clone. So Richard already demonstrated he's able to adapt by launching pump tires for the chain. And he also made a meme coin too. You've got Ricky, you've got Most. You know, like you got these different coins. So if you want to speculate on just random JPEG shit, it's there. We've got every angle covered. It's literally, remember, meme cult religion. Okay, Hex was the cult. What about the religion now? PulseChain, the neo-religion. It's got an answer for everything. Everything. You see that? That's why it's ahead of the game. But why is it being priced like dog shit? Well, deep value contrarian. No one believes this. No one sees this. They're only going to believe when the prices are higher. We know this. So I also have faith if a new product market fit altcoin appears where it does something new, I'm sure we will just fork it, Richard will fork it, and it will just apply it for ourselves anyway. Very confident. So if all goes well, I believe PulseChain could pump 50x, 100x from here. Total chain valuation could be 100 to 200 billion. Just my speculation, not financial advice. Could go to zero. I don't know freaking anything. Could literally be zero right now. No crying in the casino. If you're feeling nervous about your positions side, sell and take profit, or just take your loss right now and lower your risk. Okay, that is what you have to do. Go speak to a financial advisor. I am literally pegging my own nipples on the internet. I don't know shit. I've just done the research. This is my stuff. I present it out here in the universe. I watch my own videos. Okay. I hope pDAI goes to $1. That'd be nice. I hope pWBTC matches BlackRock BTC. That'd be very nice too. We're talking about giant multiples, right? So, psst. Come here. We've even got a secret for you that you may or may not know about. Remember, friends already reported to you, Richard Hart might be working on a wallet. Interesting. That might cover the infrastructure part. So if you have a wallet that syncs everything up, you can keep everybody on the chain and like solidify it even more. You know, another idea I've thought about? What about if someone hooks up on those MasterCard or Visa card things and connects it to PulseChain wallet? And then you can just like, maybe they don't support, let's say pDAI is $1 in the future. Maybe they don't exactly support the pDAI, but you can just swap a bit into it and you just keep your stable coins there and you use it. Or maybe they do support it in the future. It'll probably be faster systems. And then you never have to leave. Okay, that's what a digital nation is. You never have to leave. You don't want to be bridging out, changing countries every 15 seconds, right? They're digital countries, right? That's like, see, the thing is, friends, most chains are run by people who have been poor their whole life. Now they got their first round of money. If you flash for them like $8 million in their face, they'll sell it OTC and they just go like, you know what? Crypto's tough. See you later. That's what most of them do. And they do that. We've seen that demonstrated. Like, look at Craptos. The founder sold out for like 200 million or 100 million. See us. Bye-bye. You know, they just got their deal payout. Lucky for us. I mean, like, no, lucky. I don't even know. I'm speculating. Yeah. Richard, 100 million doesn't flash him, dude. He's trying to become a trillionaire. Doesn't give a shit about 100 million. Yeah, he's because he's already been there. He's got more Ethereum than Vitalik. Like, Vitalik's got 240,000 ETH. Do you know 240,000 Ethereum at $10,000? That's 2.4 billion already. So 100 million doesn't change anything like that. Let's say he's got 40,000 BTC. If that's 250,000 bucks, now he's got 10 billion. There you go. There's 14 billion there. 100 million doesn't do anything, dude. There's nothing. There's nothing to him. What about his other stuff? You know, he could have random shit like BNB or Solana. Heard some like people say, yeah, he could have random stuff out there. But you see what I mean? Like, you're dealing with big numbers here. Right? So he didn't cash out. He could have cashed out. Friends, Richard Hart could have cheated when Bitcoin was $100 million for him and walked away. But he held and believed. All right? So I'm just saying that might continue in the future. So if he makes a wallet, it might synchronize everything. Remember, my nipples remain pegged. So all of that, highest value content in crypto. Literally, the highest value content in crypto, it's not even close. Now you completely understand the entire crypto cycle, okay? Global liquidity, as I'll show you these pictures again. Global liquidity can go up or down. Up or down. If it goes up, Bitcoin is what everyone wants. If it goes down, US dollars is what everybody wants. The world reserve currency. And then the altcoin cycle, the business cycle can go up or down. If it goes up, it's alt season time, baby. Get anything and everything, right? And then we're just like gambling on like, okay, you're going to do a 20x or a 2x, okay? If the business cycle goes down, well, it's Bitcoin or US dollars that everybody is hoarding, right? But you might also wonder, Sommi, what happens if the business cycle goes down and the global liquidity is going down? Well, people flock in the world to the world reserve currency. It's the US dollars. Okay, so you don't want your national currency. You just want US dollars in the world like that. But then that's the whole premise of Bitcoin is they can't keep that on forever. They have to print. Because if that happens, trust me, the government doesn't give a shit about you potentially turning your $15,000 into $1 million. Trust me, they don't care about that. Okay, what they care about is that guy with net worth $2.5 billion who employs 40,000 people in America. That death spiral of debt can send him and everybody else into a world depression, and then everybody will lose their jobs in the soup line like 1929, and then no one has the confidence to make a business for the next 2 decades. That's what they're scared about. That deflationary spiral. There's only one way out of this. They have to print. That's why Bitcoin is like the best technology, I guess, number go up technology. Because statistically, whenever they print money, people are programmed to just buy BTC. However, okay, Bitcoin's 15 years old. Yeah, it's got upside, but I've done the research. I want more. So remember, if Richard Hart can pull this magic trick off, there's enormous upside. You can play any part of this story, by the way, if it's going to play out, okay? I've played all of it. From the core coins, pDAI, pWBTC, I played all of it. I like all of it. I don't want to pick and choose any winners, but you can see that ultimately this spells a moonshot, in my opinion, potential for PulseChain, if it works out. If it doesn't work out or goes to zero, we're going to have to move on. This is your friend Sommi. No crying in the casino. Like, subscribe, belly button, all. Catch you soon.